Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Looks like my mic was muted. George, was my mic muted that whole time? Okay. Okay. There's some new experimentation stuff going on here, guys. Welcome back. Aaron is here. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. For you vertical viewers watching on your phone, you should be automatically seeing this stream in vertical mode on your phone. For all of you watching from a computer or maybe a television, you should be seeing this stream in landscape mode. Our streaming software just released new functionality to be able to stream two separate orientations at the same time on the same stream. It's a little weird. So if you're watching this video and you're watching on your phone, please let me know if you're seeing it in vertical or landscape and whether it was a better experience for you. And if you're watching on a computer, please let me know if it shows up vertical or landscape and if you liked the viewing experience. Okay, guys, let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Down in Australia, yesterday, Sky News did an expose on a Scientology private school down there that has managed to get $5 million in government funds. And the entire clip I'm going to share with you is only 7 minutes long. I'm going to play it on a slightly accelerated speed because they kind of talk a little slow. But I have a lot of thoughts to share with you on this. And I was actually totally blown away by how upset the newscasters were to hear that public funds were going to a school that is basically affiliated with a destructive cult. And I was very pleased. I apologize in advance for you guys watching in vertical mode. The whole screen sharing looks very weird in vertical, and there's nothing I can do about that. So let's just jump right into it, guys. Here we go.
But let's start in Sydney tonight, where a small school, it's only got about 60-odd students in the inner west in Newtown, called the Athena School, has raised the ire of many because it turns out it has links to Scientology. And not only that, it's receiving significant government funding. Now, this school says it is not linked to Scientology, and it says that it doesn't teach anything about Scientology at its school. It says everything it teaches is entirely secular. But what is in fact happening is that the Athena School pays a subscription fee to an outfit out of the United States called Applied Scholastics, and they pay this fee, this licensing fee, to get access to a teaching method that was devised by L. Ron Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard being the man who came up with Scientology. So this school pays money in order to use his teaching method, which he wrote down and called study technology. Now, they say, the school, that they are not linked to Scientology. The only problem is that Applied Scholastics is a subsidiary of a non-profit called Association for Better Living and Education, and that itself is the charitable arm of the Church of Scientology. So it is entirely true and fair to say that there is a school operating in Sydney that has links to the Church of Scientology through other subsidiaries and is paying a fee so it can use study methods, teaching methods devised by the man who came up with the Church of Scientology. This, of course, a church that is recognised here legally as a church in Australia, but one invented by a man who was a science fiction writer in the 1950s. It is regarded by many other nations as a cult, and there have been many people, ex-students from this school and others, who've had this sort of study technology used upon them when they were students, Joe, and this has been reported in your paper, The Daily Telegraph, over the weekend, and more stories today, with these students saying that they were actively harmed by this study method. So why do we have a school in Sydney that has since 2014 received $5 million in funding from both state and federal governments combined,
from us, from the taxpayer,
that has links to a church that is regarded by many other countries as a cult?
It is just...
Okay, good. Before he answers that question, I'm going to add some helpful color. It is unbelievable. This is just one of the ways in which Scientology is constantly lying and misrepresenting. Could you imagine a Catholic school denying that they had any affiliations with Catholicism or the Catholic Church, or any other religiously affiliated school trying to hide or distance or downplay the connection to the religious organization that they are very obviously associated with? What is Scientology so ashamed of? What is the Athena School so ashamed of that they have to deny the connection to Scientology? I'm going to show you. I'm going to screen share this. Okay, this is the command channels of Scientology as laid out in Scientology's booklet called The Command Channels. Now, some of the names for some of the organizations on this chart have changed since this chart was published, but Scientology has never published an updated chart. I want to show you something. At the top of this chart where it says Watchdog Committee, that is international management. At the top of this chart where it says Flag Command Bureau, that is middle management. All of the things you see on that chart exist in the Hollywood Guarantee Building on Hollywood Boulevard and Ivar Avenue. Do you see where it says Association for Better Living and Education right here? That is the subsidiary that he was just making mention to. Mentioning to. Applied Scholastics is under the umbrella of Association for Better Living and Education. The reason I'm making this point is because this isn't just a Scientology front group. It is a Sea Org organization. The people who run association, who run ABLE, the Association for Better Living and Education, the people who run, the staff members that run ABLE Int are Sea Org members. They are not just Scientologists. Okay, you see this chart, Continental Liaison Office? That is the Scientology management, the Continental Scientology Management Group that exists in every region of Scientology. So there's one in LA for the West US, there's one in New York for the East US. Even at the continental level, ABLE is staffed by Sea Org members. Okay, so this school is literally giving money directly to Scientology. It's not just a school that happens to be staffed by Scientologists. So anyway, I just wanted to add that color. Let's continue on and hear what they have to say.
Just staggering, isn't it? It's amazing. I think that's what would be eye-opening to most people, that there's actually a school effectively run by the Church of Scientology, or at least one that subscribes to the techniques of its founder, L. Ron Hubbard, and pays fees to an organisation designed to promote these techniques to the world, even though it says it's not actually applying those techniques here in Australia, and that all the teaching that it does is purely secular, which makes me wonder, why are you wasting your money paying for a fee to use this program when you're not even using it? Oh, that's it. Because Scientologists are so rich, they've got more money than they know what to do with. And they just set up a brand spanking new, huge headquarters in Sydney, in the Northern Beaches, in Chatswood, I believe it is, because Chatswood doesn't have enough giant sort of sprawling complexes in it. And what also strikes me as really interesting about this, maybe this is why I'm obsessed with it, but that we used to live in the next suburb along, and I used to run past this school every day when I was having a run. And I'd look at it and think, that's a weird school. There never seemed to be anyone in there. There never seemed to be any signs of life. It looked like one of these sort of hippie trippy, so I thought, is it like a Montessori school or a Steiner school? One of those kind of hippie, independent kind of, left of centre schools. And now, of course, it has been revealed, thanks to my beloved colleague, she's an Irish name I can't pronounce. And she has also found someone who went to the Athena school and talked about some of the methods, and that it's amazing. There's even a photograph of some of the material that Scientologists read, and it's just bonkers stuff. It just makes no sense. It's all about being overt or withheld or something. You've got to do all this stuff, because if you hold on to this stuff, it'll be like being pierced by a spear. They call anyone who disagrees with them suppressive. So if you come out against them, they say, oh no, you're trying to hold down the light that emanates from within all of us. They say that they believe that everyone has a thing inside, and like the kind of soul or whatever, called a thetan, which is your sort of soul, but that your soul hasn't just lived for as long as you've lived, it's lived for like multiple different lives. I'm not sure if ancient Egypt might be involved, and some aliens as well, somewhere back there. They can be quite secretive about their origin story.
Well, I mean, this is a religion invented by science fiction.
That's right. So, guys, completely, and there's all these crazy rituals. Like, I've got the Sea Org, the Sea Organisation, where people talk about all sorts of things there. But all that aside, they say that what they're teaching at this school is just secular. They have to show their curriculum to the government to show that it meets the standards that the government expects and teaches all the things that the government says it has to teach to qualify for funding. And apparently it does, because that's how it gets it. And the reason why it's getting extra money is because if you're a very small school, you get a bonus payment to cover the fact that you've still got to have a building and the resources and everything, even though you don't have the economies of scale that larger schools have. So bonkers, but I don't think it's illegal. Yeah, look, I'm not here to defend the Church of Scientology by any means, and I'm not really sure if you can call it a church. I feel like they mainly did that for tax purposes. but at the same time, as you point out, Joe, this school says it's been operating for 30 years. It has to meet the NESA standards. Now, there is a different conversation we can have around, should the government be funding schools that are promoting values not aligned with our Australian values? I think that is a very strong argument to make. But then that would apply to a range of religious schools as well. And I don't know
find that in some of the more fundamentalist Islamic schools or, the Brethren schools, there are plenty of culty schools you can find out there.
That's a fair point, but I think it's also it's government funding going to a school that is paying a subscription fee to an outfit that they pay a license so they can use a wacko teaching method. And why should the government be funding schools that subscribe to wacko teaching methods?
Well, if they can meet the standards that NES has prescribed, then I guess if parents want to send their kids there, then they do, and that's just life.
Do it under your own steam, I reckon.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so there you go. Now it's true, if some parent wants to send their kid there, the parent can send their kid there. These are private schools. This is a private school. I do not understand why this private school is receiving government funds, especially to the tune of $5 million over the course of however many years he said. It sounded like it might have only been about 9 years. Or was it earlier? And actually, I must not have been paying close enough attention when I watched this video the first 2 times, because what I really need to do, and maybe I'll make this a separate video, is go back to the original reporting that the guest there was making reference to, the reporting done by the Irish reporter whose name, I love how he's like my colleague, but then he didn't know how to pronounce her name. It sounds like the original print reporting actually managed to really dig into some juicy details and actually show the materials that are being read. Now, again, in the beginning, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the fact that this organization, this school, tries to downplay and distance and deny the connection to Scientology is very, very troubling. So the headmaster of this school, or the principal, I'll just show you. I'll screen share this for you right here. This is the webpage to the school. And at the bottom, she says her name is Sarah Matara. Now, every time I do videos about Scientologists, I like to pull up the database of Scientology service completions and find just how many courses they have done. In Sarah's case, I didn't just find a list of courses. I found that Scientology actually features Sarah on their website with a dedicated, professionally shot video. And what I find interesting is, do they call her an educator? Do they talk about her running a school? Do they talk about the importance of her work? Nope. She basically kind of sounds like she's like, I'm a mom. I'm just a mom. I'm a Scientologist just like you. I'm a mom. Why? Even in this video, for some reason, they don't want you to know that she runs a school. Okay, so let's check this out. Here it is.
My name is Sarah. I'm a mother. I have 2 kids. My daughter, she is 4. She's a big fan of dancing and singing. And my son, he is 2.5. And he is full of energy and life. And he has an amazing sense of humor. My kids are like the highlight of my life. Scientology is like a way of life. It's how I can live my life to get the most out of it. Before, I had so many difficulties, and some of them I didn't even know were there. And now I'm just free to be me without any baggage. My name is Sarah, and I'm a Scientologist.
Okay, that's how much of a Scientologist Sarah is. Absolutely incredible. I looked at the annual report of this school to get the names of all of their board members. Every single one of their board members is a Scientologist. Why are they so ashamed of acknowledging the link to Scientology? There was even something I wanted to show you here on the curriculum. Let me see. Is that it? Is that it? Is that it? Policy. Well, let me just click on that. No, that's not what I wanted. Anyway, they literally have Scientology materials in their curriculum. Just for the hell of it, let me show you real quick the board of directors. This is, publicly available information on their website. This is the names right there. Let's just go from the top real quick. I've already got these all pulled up. So Tarni Daru, I'm sure that's not how you say the name, but that's how we're going to say it for now. Tarni has finished Scientology's superpower auditing here in Clearwater, Florida. And most recently here in Clearwater, Florida, last year, she finished the advanced solo auditor's course. That means she is well on her way to learning about Xenu and the body thetans and the Galactic Confederacy and the hydrogen bombs. And it's going to be telepathically counseling those spirits to get rid of their reactive minds so that they will leave her body and go pick up a body of their own. Okay, the next one, Wayne Byrne. Let's see. We've got Wayne here. Also a Scientologist who, even though he's on the board of a school in Australia, comes to Clearwater, Florida, and does a lot of Scientology auditing here. You can see based on his completing the Sunshine Rundown that he's attested to the state of clear, which means the next step for him on the bridge should be learning about Xenu. Okay, Diana Gilbert. Here's Diana. Diana learned about Xenu a long, long time ago. She has finished most of her OT levels and seems to be auditing on OT 7 at this point. Here we have Kim Fitzgerald, another person who does their Scientology in Australia and here in Clearwater, Florida. The first thing that you see there says Solo 1, 1994. That means that this person did achieve Scientology's state of clear, as they call it. Okay, Michael Gordon, another person who does his Scientology here in Clearwater, Florida. In fact, just a couple months ago, he finished the Cause Resurgence Rundown here in Clearwater, Florida. That's where you pay $2,500 to run around a beam of light for a few weeks. I hope that went well for him. And the last one is Daniel Milne. I'm sure that's not how you say it. And again, the only entry for him is the Student Hat course, which is a major course. It's a low-level major course, and it's also back in 2007. So I don't know where Daniel's been hiding. But they teach Scientology in their curriculum. Everyone associated with the school is a Scientologist. Why do Scientologists lie about the relationships between these schools and Scientology, especially when 10 to 15% of every dollar that flows into the front door of that school is paid directly to the mother church of Scientology, Church of Scientology International, via Applied Scholastics, via Association for a Better Living. These schools are essentially recruitment pools for Scientology staff members and SEERG members. That is what they are. And they teach Scientology values, which is basically there's no such thing as a child. You are not a child. You're a 60 trillion year old being who happens to be in a body that is of a certain age. There's no age appropriate concepts in Scientology. Everything that happens to you is essentially your fault because you are fundamentally a godlike spiritual being who can never be a victim of anything. There's no such thing as a victim. There's only things that are completely your fault. And also the values that psychiatry is bad, psychology is bad, the field of mental health is bad. Any form of mental health treatment or therapy other than Scientology is bad. So, you don't actually have to be a Scientologist or a Scientology kid to enroll your kid in one of these schools. But that is what your kid is exposed to. Here in Clearwater, Florida, our Scientology schools are Washburn Academy, Delphi Academy, and Clearwater Academy. And Scientology has an awful lot of kids enrolled in these three schools. Based on the annual report, this Australia school seems to have between 50 and 70 students, which is more than I would have guessed. But that's what you've got there. Okay, that's it for this. Let's look at some starred comments and we'll wrap this up. Allison Metcalf says, it's better on the phone if you are above the screen share. When you're below it, the chat is overlaid on your face. Excellent feedback, Allison. Thank you for that. Sovereign Brayhan, the Aussies are having none of their nonsense. And Scientology, keep the goddess Athena's name out of your mouth. Puke. One of the first ships of the Sea Organization was called the Athena. Deanna Ross, remember the Athena was one of the original Sea Org ships. There you go. Northern Girl, the fact that any government is giving them money is sickening. Constance June, I remember I thought Applied Scholastics was just an education company. Maybe when. I remember when I thought Applied Scholastics was just an education company. I was so upset when I found out it was Scientology propaganda. Northern Girl, I guess the next question is, can the funds be revoked? Sierra Wins, welcome as a new channel member. Diana Marie, Aaron, you really need to contact these people and ask them to interview you. It would be amazing. That could be fun. For news programs, everything's done very last minute and everything. So by the time you see the news piece, there's really no point reaching out to them. Catherine Churchill, I don't understand why any private school here is getting government funding. And then I saw another comment that said all private schools in Australia receive government funding. How does that work and why is that? And if that is the case, why was this such a news piece in Australia? unless the outrage really was centered around the fact that it appears the media does not shy away down there from just expressing outrage that Scientology is considered legitimate. But yeah, I don't know how it works down there. Okay, Tulip 2. Why should a government be giving money to a child abusing, criminal protecting, human trafficking church or cult? I agree. And does the school offer a level of education that would give the children a GED level learning? Is there testing in Australia like our GED? I don't know. Xenu Golf Club. Aaron, why does Scientology have a list? Why do Scientology have a list of completed courses and detailed info on members, which is available to the public? It seems strange that they're so secretive, and yet you can look up their info online. Okay, good question. The answer is they don't. They do not put this database together. It is someone else who has no affiliation with Scientology whatsoever that runs a website called truthaboutscientology.com. And on this website, there is a database that someone keeps as up to date as they can, where they keep track of the names that are listed in the back of every Scientology magazine for people who have completed courses. Now, every Scientology organization, and there's 144 of them around the world, is technically supposed to send out a magazine to their mailing list every so often. And that magazine is supposed to have a list of the people who've completed courses and auditing actions in the back of that magazine. I spent a lot of years at the Philadelphia org. I'm not aware of us ever having sent out a magazine, but Flag always does it, and the major Sea Org organizations always do it. So, there's about 8 major Sea Org organizations in the world, and they all send out magazines. But the Celebrity Center does it most. The Advanced Organization in Los Angeles on L. Ron Hubbard Way does it most. And of course, Flag in Clearwater, Florida does it most. So thank you for the question. Jojo says, education is the most important tool you give children, and it needs to be effective and beneficial. I am so annoyed that Scientology schools even exist. It's abuse, in my opinion. I agree, Jojo. All right, everyone, that is it for this. Stay tuned. So much more to come later today. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Ron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Ron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Ron!
I don't know why I'm still here. I can't tell if the stream is over. The stream should be over. All right, let me pull up this stream and see if it's actually over. It says it's still going. And also that wasn't my outro that played. That was my intro. All right, I'm going to try this again.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,